ASEAN calls for early conclusion of South China Sea Code of Conduct. Altan Tuya's killer escapes the gallows, gets 40 years jail. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm Otto Othman and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. ASEAN has called for an early conclusion of the Code of Conduct, or COC, in the South China Sea at the 27th ASEAN-China Summit today. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who delivered the ASEAN Common Statement at the summit, said ASEAN reaffirmed the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the South China Sea. He said this in accordance with the universally recognized principles of international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea 1982, or UNCLOS. The Premier's talking point was made available to the media by the Prime Minister's office. Malaysia served as the country coordinator for the ASEAN-China Summit, which was held as part of the 44th and 45th ASEAN Summits and related summits. According to media reports, ASEAN member states and China are currently engaged in negotiations of the COC in the South China Sea, with the second reading of the negotiating text completed last year. On another note, Datuk Seri Anwar said ASEAN and China have been each other's largest trading partners since 2020, with trade volume reaching $696.7 billion in 2023. He said ASEAN also welcomed China's support for energy transition efforts and encouraged collaboration in emerging technologies like robotics and artificial intelligence. Adding to that, Malaysia and Singapore reached an agreement and achieved progress on some outstanding issues between the two countries. Datuk Seri Anwar today said the issues were discussed in a bilateral meeting with his Singaporean counterpart Lawrence Wong on the sidelines of the 44th and 45th ASEAN Summit and related summits. Without specifying the pending issues, the Premier said they will be discussed further in the annual Singapore-Malaysia Leaders Retreat later this year. He said for almost 40 minutes, he and the Singaporean Premier discussed several issues related to both countries' interests, especially exploring the best method to resolving them effectively and as quickly as possible. Datuk Seri Anwar said after the meeting, he and Wong then led a bilateral meeting with ministers and delegations from both countries. It was previously reported that the outstanding issues between the two countries include aerospace control, water issues, and the maritime border. The 44th and 45th ASEAN Summits and related summits officially opened today until 11th October. Lau, as ASEAN chairman, will transfer the position to Malaysia, which will officially assume the role on 1st January 2025. On another note, Datuk Seri Anwar also attended the 25th ASEAN-South Korea Summit, coinciding with the 35th anniversary of ASEAN-South Korea dialogue relations. The Premier was joined by South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and 9 other ASEAN leaders to welcome the establishment of comprehensive strategic cooperation between ASEAN and the Republic of Korea. This cooperation aims to promote digital transformation, including capacity building, skills enhancement, and diversifying human resources in a more strategic direction. The ASEAN-South Korea Summit also supports the peaceful unification of the Korean Peninsula, in line with the initiative announced by the country on 15th August 2024. Additionally, Datuk Seri Anwar attended the ASEAN-Japan Summit with Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and other ASEAN member leaders. The summit urged for strategic cooperation between ASEAN and Japan to include digital transformation, strengthening supply chains, and advancing artificial intelligence. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the recent positive economic developments in Malaysia were the result of better governance, together with clear policy for Malaysian, especially in the industrial, digital formation, transformation, energy and semiconductors sectors. However, the Premier, who is also Finance Minister, in a post on his X page today, said that Malaysia still has a lot of room to improve. He said at present, more and more people are accepting the fact that Malaysia needs a more vigorous and meaningful shift and change to continue to boost the country's economic growth or risk returning to a gloomy and sluggish economy situation. Datuk Seri Anwar stressed that it is important to take advantage of the political stability in Malaysia to improve governance and promote trustworthy and responsible management practices with the goal of raising the nation's rank and dignity. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister and the Malaysian delegation, who are currently in Vientiane in conjunction with the 44th and 45th ASEAN Summits, were at the official residence of the Malaysian ambassador to Laos, Edi Irwan Mahmud, last night to mingle with the embassy staff. The summit ends tomorrow with Laos handing over the ASEAN chairmanship to Malaysia in the closing ceremony. The issue of a threat to national sovereignty does not arise following the docking of 2 Chinese naval ships at Pulau Pinang port. Now, according to Unity government spokesperson Fahmi Fadil, the warships from other countries often dock at Malaysian ports, but all are done in accordance with the protocols set by Wisma Putra and with the knowledge of the Ministry of Defence.
Memang dari semasa ke semasa, kapal perang dari Australia, dari Amerika Syarikat, dari China, malah dari India memang akan berlabuh. Seringkali mereka menuju satu destinasi lain dan mereka akan berlabuh untuk beberapa hari. Dalam waktu mereka berlabuh itu, biasanya kedutaan ataupun perwakilan asing bagi negara tersebut akan berhubung untuk melakukan beberapa aktiviti. Dan niatnya adalah untuk mengeratkan hubungan antara kedua-dua negara.
Met by reporters today, Fahmi also expressed regret over the actions of some netizens who tried to use racist sentiments and hatred on the issue, adding that the police and the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, are looking into the matter and will take action against the netizens involved. Yesterday, Pulau Pinang Tourism and Creative Economy Committee Chairman Wong Hon Wai was reported to have said that there should be no speculation over the visits of 2 Chinese Navy vessels to the state last weekend, as it was done through official channels. It was a goodwill visit that included students from Naval University of Engineering, China. On a separate note, the flood warning system will be improved in preparation for the northeast monsoon, with smartphone warnings complementing the existing siren system. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil explained some countries have an emergency warning system that is not based on the short message system or SMS, but on a smartphone shortcut that notifies users of a disaster.
Jadi saya nanti akan duduk berbincang dengan pihak MCMC apa yang boleh kita lakukan dengan syarikat-syarikat telekomunikasi untuk membantu Jabatan Meteorologi dan juga NADMA memaklumkan rakyat terutama yang mungkin di satu-satu kawasan selain daripada amaran siren banjir, mungkin melalui phone mereka juga mereka boleh mendapatkan maklumat terkini. Tanpa kita akan teliti kemudahan itu.
The minister also urged agencies under his ministry to enhance their preparedness for the northeast monsoon, which is anticipated to increase rainfall and cause damage to telecommunications network facilities. The country is expected to experience a northeast monsoon phenomenon earlier in the 4th week of this month, compared to the initial forecast of early November. It is expected to bring heavy rain and the risk of floods. The federal court has commuted former Chief Inspector Azila Hadri's death sentence to 40 years in prison for murdering Mongolian woman Altan Tuya Sharibu in 2006. The 3-member federal court bench, led by Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, allowed Azila's review application today to commute his death sentence to imprisonment. The court also sentenced Azila to 12 strokes of the cane and ordered that his imprisonment begin from the date of his arrest on 1st November 2006, excluding the period of about 1 year and 4 months during which he was released by the Court of Appeal in 2013. In the unanimous decision, Justice Tun Tengku Maimun said Azila's supporting affidavit had also exhibited a letter from the victim's father, who had expressly supported Azila's review application. Azila, 48, who has been in prison for 16 years and 3 months, is currently being detained in Sungai Buloh prison. He was convicted in 2009, along with former policeman Corporal Cyril Azhar Umar, 53, for murdering Altan Tuya in October of 2006. While Azila has been imprisoned in Malaysia, the other convicted murderer, Sirul Azhar, left the country for Australia, which would not extradite him as Malaysia upholds the death penalty. Former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak's former advisor, political analyst Abdul Razak Baginda, was acquitted in 2008 of abating the killing. Malaysia abolished the mandatory death penalty in 2023, while keeping capital punishment as an option for some offences. Global Ikhwan Services and Business Holdings GISBH is believed to own 23 properties in over 10 countries worth 52.44 million ringgit. Now, Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department Director Datuk Sri Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said police are still awaiting further details on the overseas properties from their foreign counterparts. He said to date, the police's anti-money laundering unit has frozen assets linked to GISBH worth more than 17 million ringgit.
Kita telah mendapat satu maklum balas daripada rakan sekerja yang mengatakan bahawa ia mengisahkan bahawa ada 3 premis di negara tersebut yang mana mereka telah sahkan telah berhenti beroperasi. Dia punya signage pun dia dah bawa turun, malah tingkap dan pintunya pun dah ditutup dengan plastik hitam.
Briefing reporters today, he also said a total of 16 individuals, including senior management from GISBH, were re-arrested today under the Security Offences Special Measures Act 2012 (SOSMA) in connection with allegations of child exploitation and indoctrination of religious fanaticism. He said during the month-long operation, authorities arrested 415 individuals and rescued 625 victims aged between 2 months and 28 years old. Datuk Seri Muhammad Suhaili said the process of recovering all affected children is being conducted meticulously and rigorously by the Social Welfare Department, JKM. Malaysia Tonight on TV1 ends here to give way to the 64th International Quran Recitation and Memorization Assembly. Our bulletin resumes on MyTV's Berita RTM channel, and we'll be right back.
Malaysia will chair the Regional Community Asian in 2025. The handing over ceremony of the Asian Chairmanship 2025 comes on live from the Lao People's Democratic Republic on October 11, 2024, 3 p.m. only on TV1, Saluran Berita and RTM Click.
Coming up next, Malaysia remains committed to enhancing progress in green technology. Malaysia remains committed to enhancing progress in green technology through the International Green Technology and Eco Products Exhibition and Conference Malaysia IGEM 2024. Now, according to the Minister of Economy, Rafizi Ramli, the government plans to sign several MOUs this year with various countries to facilitate cross-border carbon capture and storage CCS activities. He emphasized that this is a crucial step in building a global supply chain to support net zero climate commitments.
Spirit that we want to inculcate with our people, that we as a nation can punch above our weight. So, ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to share that this ambition, because we have to be careful, otherwise we become short sendiri. It's very important to also gauge how other international stakeholders feel about our ambition. And I can share with you that other countries also share that excitement about the role that Malaysia can play in leading a regional energy transition.
The 15th edition of IGEM, which started yesterday and runs for 3 days, brings together 480 exhibitors from 48 countries, including China, Singapore, Finland, Korea, Canada, and the Netherlands. IGEM 2024 aims to attract 48,000 participants with a business potential of 4.8 billion ringgit. The introduction of 20 electric vehicle baggage tractors to Kuala Lumpur International Airport is expected to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by an estimated 1,029 tons per year. The initiative, led by Ground Team Red Sendirian Berhad, or GTR, a key aviation ground services provider in Malaysia, reflects a broader move towards greener practices in the aviation sector. Over the next year and a half, GTR will operate 60 electric baggage tractors, replacing nearly half of its current fleet of 119 diesel-powered tractors used at airports nationwide.
I was informed that the electric baggage tractors will result in 66.7% reduction in carbon emission and 43.5% savings in fuel cost per vehicle. These numbers underscore a crucial point. Environmental responsibility and economic viability can go hand in hand.
Speaking at the launch of the 20 EV baggage tractors today, Transport Minister Anthony Loke also highlighted the importance of incorporating electrification into airport development plans, such as the expansions of Subang and Pulau Pinang airports. He urged all stakeholders in the aviation industry, such as airlines, ground handlers, airport operators and service providers, to take inspiration from this project. Proposals under the National Housing Policy, including the provision of long-term housing loans, will be discussed by the Finance Ministry, MOF, with Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, and the Housing and Local Government Ministry, KPKT. Now, this was among the matters agreed upon during the Executive Committee meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living, NACOL, held in Putrajaya today. According to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, the move is to ensure that lower-income individuals and households can own homes without being burdened by the rising house prices. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid, who is also NACOL Executive Committee Chairman, said the meeting also discussed the household debt to GDP ratio, which increased from 67.2% in 2002 to 81.2% in 2022. He added the residential property sector now dominates household loans, with housing credit climbing from 36% in 1997 to 59.7% in 2022, which has a significant impact on disposable income levels. As such, the meeting agreed to look into the matter. During the meeting, the Department of Statistics Malaysia presented status of the Cost of Living Indicators 2023, developed to provide insights into the expenses required for households to meet a decent standard of living, including social participation. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is scheduled to launch the indicator on 2nd November. The Cabinet at its meeting last Tuesday approved the adoption of the Data Centre Planning Guidelines, or GPP, developed by the Ministry of Housing and Local Government, KPKT, through Town and Country Planning Department, Plan Malaysia. KPKT Minister Ngau Koming said the guidelines are designed to standardise and streamline the application and planning approval process for stakeholders. He said they also support the Ease of Doing Business initiative, complement the overall data center industry ecosystem, and serve as a reference for those involved in data center development.
Sehingga Mei tahun ini, sebanyak 32 buah pusat data sedang beroperasi di negara ini. Manakala 19 lagi pusat data sedang dalam pembinaan. Sebagaimana kita maklum, Malaysia merupakan destinasi yang terkenal, khususnya dalam kalangan syarikat antarabangsa yang bertaraf dunia seperti Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia.
Speaking to reporters today, he said the guidelines include several proactive measures, such as planning controls by local authorities, or PBT, where data centers will only be permitted in commercial and industrial land use zones, and buffer zones will be required for data centers located near residential areas to prevent noise disturbances to the local community. According to Nga, the guidelines will be tabled at the 84th meeting of the National Council for Local Government Authorities, or MNKT, scheduled on 14th November. August's unemployment rate fell 3.2%, registering 558,500 unemployed persons, according to the labor force statistics for August released today. The rate dropped by 0.1 percentage points to 3.2% after 9 months, registering a rate of 3.3%. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said Malaysia's labour market in August continued to expand, driven by encouraging economic growth, with a continuous increase in the number of employed persons, while the number of unemployed persons continues to decline, as well as the unemployment rate. In this regard, the number of the labour force in August 2024 strengthened further, with a month-on-month increase of 0.1% to record 17.22 million persons. The number of employed persons portrayed a growth of 0.2% to 16.66 million persons in August 2024, up from 16.63 million persons in July 2024. On the contrary, he said the number of unemployed persons reduced to 558,500, with a decline of 0.9%. Still ahead, ASEAN plays stabilizing role on regional tensions. The ASEAN bloc remains a stabilizing force in Southeast Asia, despite making only incremental progress on key issues, including Myanmar's civil war and the drafting of a code of conduct for the South China Sea, according to its Secretary General. Leaders of the 10-member Association of the Southeast Asian Nations are meeting in Laos this week with heads of government and top diplomats from partners including the United States, China, Japan, and Russia. The bloc, home to over 685 million people and representing around 8% of global exports, has been unable to push resolutions on difficult regional issues, which analysts said risks undermining ASEAN's central role in its backyard. But ASEAN's Secretary General, Kao Kim Hoon, insisted the grouping has constantly pushed for dialogue and diplomacy, ensuring that negotiations move ahead.
This COC negotiation, so I think it's not static, it's not standstill, but things are still moving ahead. The good part is that as long there are still dialogue and diplomacy on the table in moving forward, I think there's a lot of hope there.
The former Cambodian diplomat said this to Reuters in an interview late on Wednesday. Kao, 58, said that ASEAN, which consisted of 10 Southeast Asian countries with a joint population of over 685 million people, is becoming more integrated economically with extensive trade agreements with many external partners, making the region the 5th largest economy in the world. The ASEAN +3 economy needs to stay alert to short-term risks, including a resurgence of inflation, geopolitical tensions, and slower global growth. Now, according to ABRO's chief economist Kevin Cheng, these risks could pose challenges to resilience of the regional financial system. Given the interconnectedness of the financial system, he said any global spillover into this region needs to be continuously monitored. At the same time, it also strengthens cross-border collaborations.
We need to have a robust regional ASEAN +3 centric surveillance and collaboration by sharing data and enhance cross-border surveillance. In particular, it's important to monitor macro-financial shocks from the global market to reduce vulnerabilities arising from the poverty developers. It's important to enhance the soundness of financial sector that are heavily exposed to the property market.
He added that a strong foundation in the economy and finance, along with the use of local currency, can help reduce reliance on the US dollar. Meanwhile, measures to stabilize the real estate market need to be implemented to prevent companies from facing financial issues and to enhance the resilience of financial institutions. The chief economist said this during an online press conference for the ASEAN +3 Financial Stability Report 2024. Coming up in sports, FAM confirms match against Auckland FC in New Zealand tomorrow. Stay with us. The Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, today confirmed that the national team will face Auckland FC, a Tier 2 club, in an international match in New Zealand tomorrow. Paul Marti Vicente's squad will then face the New Zealand national team in a Tier 1 international match at North Harbour Stadium, Auckland, next Monday. FAM had earlier admitted it is facing difficulties in securing another Tier 1 friendly match for the national team during the FIFA international match window from 7th to 15th October. Vicente and his 26-member squad departed for Auckland on Monday ahead of tomorrow's friendly and another friendly against world number 95, New Zealand, at North Harbour Stadium on 14th October. He stated that Harimau Malaya are now preparing for the Asian Cup qualifiers after falling short in the World Cup qualifiers. He had also noted that playing a strong club side will be beneficial in their preparations. More importantly, it gives his players valuable game time, which will help him assess their performances, according to Vicente. For the record, Malaysia last faced the All Whites in 2006, where they lost 2-1. Real Madrid have once again proven why they are a giant in world football, not just on the pitch, but in the transfer market too. Now, according to the latest report by CS Football Observatory, the Spanish club holds the top spot as the most valuable football team globally, with their squad valued at an incredible 1.728 billion euros. Real Madrid's top spot comes as no surprise considering their mix of high-quality and youthful players like Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham and Rodrigo. With these young stars bound by long-term contracts, their future transfer fees would fetch astronomical sums if they were to move. Trailing closely behind Real Madrid are some of the Premier League's finest. Manchester City, the reigning English champions, come in second, with Chelsea ranks in third. For football fans, these rankings are more than just numbers, as they reflect the power, planning and investment strategies of the world's top clubs. Whether it's Real Madrid flexing their financial muscle or Premier League sides dominating the top spots, it's clear that the value of a squad goes far beyond what happens on the pitch. Well, that's it from us this evening. Our top story: ASEAN calls for early conclusion of South China Sea Code of Conduct. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Otto Othman. Thanks for watching.